for those of you who don't know, I was just on we were doing a Simmons College thingy. For those of you who don't know, so you can see that I put it up on I reposted it on my Facebook page. So that discussion, it was I was there for about an hour and a half. So it's on my Facebook page if you want to go see it. So I was kind of rushing through here to get everything put in and whatever. So we're going to make it kind of a quick show today because we got things to talk about real quick. Things that have to be said. But before we get started, as usual, let's do the like. Let's hit the like button. Let's hit the bell. If you want to hit the bell so you get notifications, please do that. Also, if you have not already done it, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. That's very important. Costs you no monies to support the channel in that way. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com or you can go to patreon.com/ycornell. Cash App will be in the description. But you can like this and it costs you nothing. So it's 13 people, 200 people there, and it's 500. Liking costs you nothing, and it's a pandemic, and we understand. You see that? Anyway, fam, let's get started. Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please, because you all know I had quite the dilemma of deciding on the book for the book club, and I've been going back and forth with this for a minute. Shall I, shan't I? But I shall. And we shall dissect it, because after Oprah came out with this book, I said, oh, Lord have mercy, I think it's a failure. And I said, well, should we, if it might not be what we think it is? And I said, I think we should. We should still read it regardless and read it with an open mind. We're going to read this with an open mind. Because remember, I said first it probably was going to be the book club book. And then Oprah came out, as she usually does, and does stuff don't make no sense. So we're going to do Caste, the Origins of Our Discontents with Isabel Wilkerson. We're going to read that. We're going to read that, and I don't have high hopes. I don't want to come to this in some kind of already biased. But Oprah did bias me after I mentioned it and she came out with it. But I think, like I said last show, I think it is absolutely important, even if we don't agree with it, that we learn how to kind of make good arguments and tear things apart and tear bad arguments apart and talk about what works and doesn't work. So even if it's not good, I think that we can learn something from it, because what we're having to do in this space in general is become the best debaters on the playing field. That's what's happening to us. And so even if it's not good, there is an opportunity here for us to have a discussion that is worthwhile. So that is the book club book. Let me see. I don't know what that date is, but I think we should push to do an early read for this one. So I'm thinking the last Thursday in September. I think we should push to kind of try to push through this one. So tentatively, I don't know what that date is. Somebody tell me what the last Thursday in September is, because I didn't pull that up and I want to get straight into it. But we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out, fam. But I think we should try to. I don't think this is going to probably be a difficult read. It doesn't seem that. Yeah, September. I don't think this will be a difficult read. I don't think it will be a hard read. It ain't going to be, I don't think it'll be hard to push through. So we'll see, though. I'll confirm that. September 27th, somebody said. So let's do that with September 27th. September 27th, let's come back here and had a conversation. Like I said, this doesn't look like somebody said the 24th. Is it 24th or the 27th? Last Thursday. Y'all messing me up in the chat. What's the last Thursday? Hold on, let me look for myself. The last Thursday. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's the 24th. Who said the 27th? That's the 24th. Looks like anyway, fam. 24th. Let's push to get through it then. Let's try to start getting through books a little bit quicker if we can. Also, so let's get started. Let's talk about Bantu knots. Let's have a conversation about it. There was a whole fight going on about something that didn't even matter. Now, don't make no sense. So let me just pull something up really quick, because it was a whole fight. It was a whole thing. For those of you who didn't watch, it was a whole thing. And for those of you who did watch, I want to hear from you, because it was a whole thing. So first of all, I want to preface this by, I don't know how many of you all saw her with her. Let me bring the picture up. For those of you who didn't see this, this is the picture that was going wild on the interwebs and people were talking about it. And I just want to say, all I saw for the most part was a bunch of laughs and giggles. I didn't see a whole lot. Adele came out and she just had on a Jamaica bra. She was they say she lived there, grew up there, where they have the thing, and wherever she was, Notting Hill, or what was it, Tottenham? I don't know, I'm not sure. She was over there, and they said she'd be over here. And she wetted stuff, and you American Negroes, stay out of it. You ain't got nothing to do with it. Now, my problem is there were only a few American Negroes who said very much about it in terms of appropriation or whatever. And most Negroes, even Jamel Hill, we know she ain't got the sense God promised to turn up. Don't look to her to represent us. Now, let me take down the language, but then the little man said African Americans have 5 major problems. I don't know who this little man is. They have a victim mindset, racist to Africans, yet pretend to be gatekeepers for African culture and traditions. Ridiculously ignorant, he says. Reeks of low self-esteem. Basically stupid. Now, let me just say this. Let me say something, family. And let me talk to the diaspora. The diaspora, come close. Twitter, us dragging somebody or mocking somebody on social media is not the same thing. So you had this little fella come out and he said something. I found out, I don't even know who he is. He blocked me, but he was talking about the Bantu knots because it's Bantu. But understand, let me get back to what I was saying. I don't think enough people kind of understand that dragging somebody or mocking somebody or making fun of somebody on social media is not the same thing as policing blackness or being a gatekeeper. For those who do not know, Adele is a global star. She sells out around the world. I don't know if she does an Africa tour. I don't know. But the thing is, when you sell out around the world, what happens is everything that you do will become a conversation for the world. That's just what it is. And some people say she looked a hot mess now. I'm not one to judge. She looked like she had fun, and somebody, African or Jamaican, over there plaited her hair and said, we're going to have fun. And she was having a whole down good time. That's what I saw. Now, because a Negro did that to her hair, right? And we don't care. See, y'all in the diaspora think we care about a lot of stuff we don't care about. We got a whole movement going on right now. Just because you saw somebody on Twitter say something don't mean we care. But it's almost as if a lot of y'all took this as an opportunity to just slam us for something we really don't care about. Just because we say she look a mess, sometimes we say you look a mess and you do. That don't mean nothing. That's just the truth. So people use this as an excuse to come out and talk bad about ADOS and tell us everything they don't like about us. Black Americans are just so mad and insecure. For people who do not actually have a culture, they always get outraged over nothing. And I'm looking at the retweets here. It's getting bitter, their behavior, really. Adele is British and from Tottenham. They even have a massive Jamaican presence. Well, good for them. We didn't really care ever. I don't think people understood. We didn't care. We don't care about what you talking about. We didn't care that she wore the knots and the Bantu. We don't care. Black Americans trying to cancel Adele. First of all, let's pause right here for a second. We never tried to cancel Adele. Show me a Adele cancel movement going on right now. We didn't do that. You just don't like us. Say that with your whole chest, though. We didn't cancel Adele. We said, ha, you look a mess. And then you said, well, see, that's what's wrong with American blacks. Wait a minute. We can say she look a mess. We can say you look a mess. We drag each other. Have you not seen us dragging each other on social media? What are you talking about? We do this all the time. You didn't grow up, but see, you didn't grow up with us jonesing on each other, so you don't know. So you're ignorant of ADOS culture. I understand. But let me just go on. Black Americans trying to cancel Adele for making an African hairstyle and wearing a Jamaican flag will forever be funny. While Africans are praising her and Jamaicans are happy she did. These Black Americans are really starting to be bitter bullies. Like, listen, it's almost like y'all just are looking for reasons to come out and like attack us. It's almost like that. Why would you do that? And let me just say this, it's too many of y'all doing stupid stuff. It's too many of y'all that people say, well, it's not all. I know that, but that's too many likes and that's too many retweets. Because we ain't canceled Adele, and we might not go to as many concerts and nothing because the tickets is too expensive. And she sells out in 3 minutes. But we didn't try to cancel her. We didn't. But see, you tried to be superhero. You tried to have a driving Miss Daisy moment. See, you can't say that we have solidarity when every opportunity you get, you run and superhero and throw your cape on to save white people whenever you can. So Adolf said, ha ha, you look crazy. And you said, oh my God, this is what's wrong with American blacks. You know we're not like them. They're always a bullies and they're always crying. They don't know what to talk about. They ain't got no culture. You use this incident to say all kind of negative things about us. Sounds like you got a problem. You want to talk about it? Because we don't have a problem. The problem might be that we feel free all the time to talk about whoever we want to talk about. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We live here. We don't have any kind of problem with making fun of anybody. And we don't care who it is. We don't have no problem making fun of white people. Maybe you scared. And if you scared, you just say you scared. We talk about everybody. And please don't talk about how we don't have culture. What we saw, and shout out to the person who brought this up, is that Adele was influenced by jazz and by American black culture. Her singing is our culture. You understand? So I don't know, I don't know what this is where you use this as an opportunity to come out and say, see, that's what's wrong with y'all. You've been waiting to say it though. You've been waiting to come out and say, see, dear American woke folks, you cannot have this as your head and be shouting about appropriation. We ain't shouting about anything. And it's not only American blacks black women who wear weaves. And we don't have nearly the problem of lightening skin as some of y'all do. You want to talk about it? Let's have the conversation. There are places in the diaspora where having light skin is revered. Let's have the conversation. If you want to talk about weave, let's talk about everywhere where it's worn. And see, American black women have to kind of toe the tightrope anyway in terms of natural hair because of who hires us, because we're in the belly of a beast. What is your excuse for being so European and elevating European features in your culture? Because you are not in a space where we're in a space where you might not get hired because you have natural hair. You might get fired. Our military recently only came out with, you can have natural hair and this, that, and the other thing a few years ago. You don't have that situation. Do you hate yourself? Because how can you be in a black country and in a lot of these African countries and a lot of other countries we don't want to talk about, who you revere light skin, but you want to talk about ADOS wearing weaves? Let's talk about it now. Let's have the conversation. Because y'all love to come out and talk trash all the time and what we did and what we ain't and who we is, and we ain't even thinking about you. We wasn't thinking about no diaspora. Just because we say somebody look crazy, we say white people look crazy all the time. They put their children on leashes sometimes, and we say, oh my God, you got your child on a leash. That look crazy. Why you got the little child on a leash like that? Do you know how long we laughed at them for having their children on leashes? They ain't got nothing to do with nothing. We ain't thinking about y'all. Ain't got nothing to do with the diaspora. Oh, y'all just too sensitive. We do that. We good at it too. Just sounds a little bit odd that you would take this opportunity to just run out in front of Adele and say, stop! These American blacks are doing too much. They need to let you do what you do. You're from Tottenham. They don't know that you're from Tottenham. They whine and crying and they don't have no culture. What? That wasn't even part of the discussion. What you saying? Then they came out, dear black Americans, y'all are not the spokespeople or whatever. Y'all are not the spokesman for the black race ethnically. Adele outfit and hairstyle is none of your business. Pay attention to the vulgar language you got going on here. Y'all got going on in the U.S. Listen, Again, only a few Negroes went out and really made a puff about it being appropriation. And some of that was actually from London. I saw like one of these UK magazines talking about it. And we are paying attention to what's going on here. Why are you so concerned though? Why are you so concerned with what we feel about Adele or what we think about her outfit? We didn't counsel her. We know she sat between your legs and you plaited her hair. And that's why you mad. You probably plait a lot of hair like that. We just said it looked, some people said, I didn't say nothing about it because I don't care. Like most of my people, we don't care. This is just, for some, this is just jokes. What are you talking about? Like, what does this, I don't even understand what this means. We don't claim to be spokespeople. Actually, ADOS is asking for the opposite. We are asking to not be spokespeople or not have some kind of flat blackness. We are asking to be kind of carved out, just like you get to be whoever you are, a little strange person on the internet. I don't care whether you get to be Jamaican or Haitian or Nigerian or Ghanaian or Kenyan or Eritrean or South African. We're saying we're ADOS. We are not speaking for you. And we say that you don't speak for us. So keep that same energy when you come here and you say we're all black the same. You keep that same energy, okay? This same energy you saying that we don't speak for you. When you come here, keep that same energy and say, I don't speak for ADOS. You make sure you keep that. Don't just pop off. Don't just pop off to pop off now. Because we're not trying to be that. And we're not trying to be like some people said. We're not trying to be spokespeople for you. I don't want to speak for you. And I don't want you to speak for me. Sometimes black Americans get outraged over nothing. There's nothing wrong with Adele wearing a Jamaican flag bikini top African bantu on her head. Y'all was really running to the rescue. I ain't never seen nothing like this. Let me tell you, Adele wasn't even in danger. And y'all was running to the rescue. There wasn't nothing wrong with her. She wasn't in danger with us. And they was running to the rescue. We must save her. We must save Adele from these rambunctious Negroes in America. Let's get back up. What for? Is this what you do? Let's talk about it. Is this what you do? Is that your job, being this deferential? Being caping and putting on your superhero outfit because somebody started making jokes about a white person to show I'm not like them. I don't get sensitive about race. You can do anything to me. You can wear anything. I just giggle and laugh all the time. That's what I do. I show you my teeth. I'm a very toothy Negro. I'm toothy. I show all my teeth all the time and a wide watermelon smile for you. I'm not like those angry Negroes. See, that's the problem, though. That kind of sentiment that you share when you get here, when you get in private with white folk, you share that same sentiment. And that's a problem. That's a problem with solidarity. I don't know how you all can make these racist threads all day and then talk about solidarity with us. And I need a lot of allies to be talking to these people and say, you're really kind of messing stuff up. You're really kind of causing a lot of divisions because we're not trying to police you. We're not trying to gatekeep blackness. We're trying to extricate ourselves from blackness because we understand that blackness is a construct of white supremacy. We want to talk about lineage. We do not want to police your blackness. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out till you fall out. We don't care. What makes you think we really care enough about Adele that we trying to do something and get her canceled? We don't care. We got business. I don't know what's going on with y'all. Honestly, all these tweets are just, and the amounts of shares and stuff are just insane. Honestly, this is exhausting. I'm a South African from the Zulu Bantu tribe specifically, and I didn't take offense to Adele wearing the Bantu knots. It's cultural appropriation, and I doubt it's not cultural appropriation, and I doubt there was any malice intended by doing Bantu knots. I don't agree or disagree. I don't care. Keep your knots. Keep your knots. I don't care. I don't care. And I think I can say for most of ADOS, we don't care. When we roasting somebody most of the time, we don't care. I mean, you bet you doing your best, Morgan Freeman, driving Miss Daisy impression. Some of y'all did come through and try to say the difference between the two. Like one is appropriation and one is not. Right? So if you wore it in a way that was, you know, kind of Halloweenish or something, that's fine. I ain't got no problem with that. Again, I don't care. Stop trying to make it seem like they make it seem like we started 15 petitions trying to get Adele out of here. We didn't. You just had something on your mind. You just had something on your mind and you wanted to get it off. And y'all said a lot of weird stuff that don't make no sense. I just think that black people outside of America don't feel supported by AA. And trust me, 90% of us sympathize with AA and we support you, but I personally don't think the feeling is mutual. I can tell so much about AA, but most AA can't tell a thing about the Caribbean. You can't tell me a lot about me, sweetheart. And to the extent you do, it's because of what you've seen in the media. But here he said, how do you support us? No answer. What do you mean? Like this is very childish and petulant. This is very childish and petulant. Well, you don't support us. This supposed to be about Adele's hair. What do you mean support? We have led the freedom struggle. What are you talking about in this country? What are you talking about? I have a genuine question. When we don't use our privilege, and this is a good question. When we don't use our privilege for good, we're wrong. When we use our voices and privilege to help aid the diaspora, we're not in our lane. What do y'all want aside from constantly looking down on us? I got the same question. And looking down on us from where? And shout out to the brother who pointed out that Adele, you know, influences were Etta James, Ella Fitzgerald. These are ADOS people. And don't tell me about your African drums and how this is really an African drum. It ain't really, y'all didn't really do this. You didn't really build this. This is an African drum movement. No, it's not. We built something specific. Drums have been around everywhere. And yes, I'm not saying that there was no influence, but that's what creatives do. Creatives find influence everywhere. I don't care what genre they're going to, there's nothing new under the sun. Stop telling me you own jazz. Well, you see, the call out or the drums, we do the, shut up. No. Stop saying that we don't have culture when Adele has been influenced by that culture. People don't know how many people hated jazz when it came out. Hated it. It's distinctly ADOS though. It is an ADOS creation. It's almost like you're denying us our humanity. At least white folk will say, yeah, y'all did that. Y'all did jazz, blues, you did that. And yeah, we took it and made something new with it. At least white folk will say, you won't even say that. You try to own everything we do. It's almost like, well, you know, y'all got that from us. You remember that from Africa. Ain't nobody remember that. And ain't nobody remember that from no Africa. These people who did jazz, they never been there. Influenced by all kinds of stuff. You have artists that are influenced by Mozart. You have artists that are influenced by classical, that are influenced by all kinds of stuff. It's still not yours. It's like this. I can take a scrap of paper and I can take some pens and pencils and I can make a work of art. You can't tell me, well, the ink came from over here, so that's my painting. No, it's not. You didn't create nothing that ever sounded like this. Not ever. And we don't try to take nothing from y'all. Like we let you have, listen, keep the Bantu knots. That's yours. And the people who wear it in America, I will say that's your Bantu knots. Knock yourself out. Wonderful. But this is our jazz. And all of this culture, all this rich culture, so much of America is built on the rich culture of ADOS. And you just try to deny it. It's almost, you're almost like white supremacists in how you just try to deny who we are and what we've done and what we've built. And you try to make it your own. That is theft. When global stars like Adele make statements, people react. And then the thing is, Adele is everywhere. It's not like we're somewhere talking about you or we're somewhere in a country saying something negative about you. Y'all be here and say something about us. What's wrong with y'all? And then be like, why aren't we in the solidarity? Y'all are gatekeeping blackness. Let me see what else we have here before we move on. People say some of the wildest things. I guess we just made people believe they can say anything about us. Just say anything. We don't care. But we do care. I mean, we don't care like we value your opinion. We don't. And like this person said, I ain't really seen nobody upset. Like, I don't even know what y'all are talking about. You just, it's almost like you just want to kind of cape, right? Like, I got to run out here and save Miss Daisy. Miss Daisy's in the rain and she need an umbrella. And we just be laughing and giggling. Ain't nobody did nothing. But we see you though. We see you very clearly, just so you understand that we see you. Let us know we see you. That's all. That's all I want to say. And I'm going to end that part just by saying this. We don't care. We don't really care about Adele's for the most part. We don't care. I don't think just the people in the diaspora, and it's not the entire diaspora, because you had some people saying, what you saying? Black people ADOS don't have culture. Shout out to y'all. Because y'all really did try to hold a line with these people. Because a lot of these people are tweeted from their own countries and have no kind of affinity for us and don't know us at all. So shout out to y'all. But I just want to say, listen, if you don't know us, you probably shouldn't talk about us. We drag people all the time on Twitter. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean what you think it means. It don't mean that we upset about Adele's Bantu knots for the most part. We don't care. Like, and we know you want to run and you want to cape for her because that's what you do. Now, we had to overcome some of that too because we have our own problems. We have our own boule class, right? We have our own boule class, and we have too many of us. We were raised as butlers and maids, and we have a degree of domestication. We're in the belly of the beast. So, but y'all going too far. You going too far with sniping with us. You create a whole diaspora war over a white woman. You go to war with black people over this white woman. And we ain't even saying nothing that bad about her. We just saying she funny looking. She funny looking in general to us because she lost all that weight. Good for her, but you look different anyway. And now you got the knots in your head. Ha ha. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean you got to put on your cape and stumble outside flat-footed to fight with us. But it says a lot about you. And I think you need to question yourself. Y'all need to question yourself because this stuff y'all is doing is unorthodox and unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. Especially when we are a beacon of light. ADOS are a beacon of light. We have fought white supremacy in a majority white country for 400 years. You better show some respect and act like you know. You ain't did that. 400 years, you know. Most powerful country, no. Biggest military, and we still fight. We still in these streets. Get somewhere and sit down and hush. We ain't got time to play with y'all. Now, on to some more tomfoolery. It's tomfoolery, but we got to hit the tomfoolery real quick. I'm just going to hit this real quick because I know I said I would end early today because it started late. Listen, tomfoolery. We tired of the tomfoolery. I watched, and I'm not going to put up, if you want to see, I put images on Twitter last week. Al Sharpton had a march, and it was after my show, so I didn't get a chance to really speak on it, and I just want to have a quick word on it. I want to have a quick word on Al Sharpton, because I don't know what we're doing. You know, sometimes, just a quick word, fam, sometimes you got to get rid of people because this is all foolishness. And I'm not going to deal with y'all that ask for foolishness. Don't make no sense. Y'all just trying to show white people that y'all wonderful. Knock yourself out. The rehabilitation in terms of our ADOS politics, in terms of, well, we can't do enough good stuff. We have a whole nother problem. Don't have to do with this other nonsense. Al Sharpton had a march. Now, for those of you all who saw some images of the march, I have a problem. I first of all have a problem with the optics of the march. Because there were a lot of people because it's hot outside. So you're not going to be able to keep your mask on all the time. And then, I was watching CNN. Sanjay Gupta comes on and says, yeah, well, You know, masks are great and they dramatically decrease the rate of infection. But you don't want to aggregate people in one space, especially people who are not likely to have insurance. Because I've talked about that before on this show. I've talked about how I pay $500 a month for insurance. So a lot of these people probably are uninsured. You should not have brought them together for a march. Now I understand when you have protests and riots and stuff like that, that stuff is authentic. That stuff comes from a particular space. That stuff comes from being enraged and it's spontaneous. Even if you plan stuff later on, a couple of marches, spontaneous, and you're doing it to keep pressure, right, in your community. I think this march was dangerous in terms of a pandemic. And I don't know why we are rehabilitating Al Sharpton. I saw some people go, oh, Al, everything you done did, Al. Al, everything you done did is wonderful. And we're not going to even remember this march next week. I just wish somebody would tell Al, listen, Al, you are not king. You will never be MLK. You were the pit bull for the White House. That's who you were. I don't know if y'all remember that 60 Minutes episode. I'm going to bring it up again because I brought it up before. I can't play it because it's copyright, whatever. People don't be trying to give me fair use. But one of the things that he said on 60 Minutes, is a 60 Minutes interview during the first term of Obama. He said, I'm not going to criticize Obama during the first term, right? You had a man who had the ear of the president for 8 years. This is a president who oversaw the evisceration of black wealth, and who also said no to reparations. This is the man that Sharpton had the ear to. You don't get to march now when you never held that president accountable. You had proximity to power and you did nothing with it. You did nothing with it. How many of y'all remember? When Al Sharpton did a let me see if I can find it. Al Sharpton went on a tour. He went on a tour with Newt Gingrich. How many of y'all remember that? Y'all remember that tour? He went on a tour with Newt Gingrich. Vile Republican. People say, oh no, Yvette, he was a Republican speaker. He was much better than Trump. You can't say that. Al did that with the charter schools. Remember the charter schools, what they was on? They were talking all that kind of stuff. Come on now, let's talk about it. I don't know if everybody remembers who Newt Gingrich was and who he probably still is. I ain't heard from the man. He on TV and he's been normalized, but I don't think you all remember. Newt Gingrich laid the foundation for Trump. Newt Gingrich was amongst the first people to lie, and he would say it in such a way and say it so truthfully that the media would run it before they fact checked it. That's the same thing Trump does today. He tells lies and then it's already out there before the media can come and say, well, this is not true. And remind you, this was long ago. We got much better fact checking tools and internet now. And he had a scorched earth policy. He didn't care who got hurt. He didn't care he lied. He didn't care what he said. He just came in there and said, Democrats got to go. And I'm going to say whatever I got to say to get rid of them. Now, that's how Trump got elected. It's the Newt Gingrich playbook. That's your man's. Sharpton is the man who was in there with it. Who was going on tour with him. That's Sharpton. Sharpton's talking all kind of stuff about Trump now, but you was all with it. And Trump, let me tell you, Trump, ain't nobody gonna make me believe that Trump ain't always been Trump. From the Central Park 5 to housing discrimination, Trump has always been Trump. You're not gonna make me believe no different. This guy is leading a march? This man is still portraying himself as our leader. And for those who say, well, we don't have more leaders, because he won't sit down. Sit your butt down somewhere and go home. It's over. Why won't we tell this man it's finished? I'm tired of watching Sharpton marches. where he tries to be king. You will never be it. You don't have it. And this isn't effective. Let me just say this, fam. These people are not getting, I don't care whether you're talking about Breonna, you're talking about George Floyd or Jacob Blake. These people are not getting murdered in the street because we need police reform. They're getting murdered in the street because of who ADOS is. And Al Sharpton didn't show up on the Supreme Court. We were talking about the Civil Rights Act. He's the one who crafted the whole thing with the memorandum of understanding that wasn't worth the paper was written on, and didn't secure anything for black media. That was Al Sharpton. How do we keep promoting these failures to be leaders? How we don't tell you to go somewhere and sit down? How do you get to have a march? Who shows up for this man doing coronavirus? Of all things, we in a pandemic and you show up to his march? This man? Come on, he's always been a part of this. What are we doing? This is the guy that's supposed to be opposing Trump now and Trump policies. This guy. He's always, Al is a New Yorker. Trump is a New Yorker. They know what the deal is. They know about each other. Trump ain't nothing new to Al. You gonna march now to oppose Trump and Trump's policy? That was your man's. Wasn't that your man's, Al? And his people was your people. We've been through this before, but y'all know what it is. Y'all know Roger Stone just got off, right? His man, let me see if I can find it. So this is what happened to Roger Stone. That's Trump's guy. For those who don't know, Trump commutes sentence of Roger Stone in case he loaned it since denounced. So Trump commuted his sentence, right? But allegedly, I don't think it's all that alleged, but allegedly, this is the same guy behind Sharpton's 2004 campaign for president. And this is part of the article. Funny thing about the Nixon tattooed showy master of shadowy arts who's helped make Donald Trump the front runner, and this is a while ago, in the Republican presidential nomination. He worked out his playbook for using a larger-than-life New Yorker to blow up a party's establishment by hijacking debates with incendiary comments and earned media coverage a dozen years ago on behalf of a Democrat. That was when Roger Stone, who claims credit for, among other things, exposing Governor Eliot Spitzer's hooker habit and the Brooks Brothers riot. So what did he do? What did he do? Stone played a pivotal role in putting together Sharpton's pending application for federal matching funds and getting dollars in critical states from family members and political allies at odds with everything Sharpton represents. He's also helped stack the campaign with half a dozen incongruous top aides who've worked for him in prior campaigns. He's even boasted about engineering six-figure loans to Sharpton's National Action Network and allowing Sharpton to use his credit card to cover thousands of National Action Network costs. This your man's? Him? Now let me bring this up. Pressed to clarify Stone's role in his 2004 campaign, which set the stage for Sharpton's later ascendance in the liberal media, the Reverend conceded, "He introduced me to some Democratic guys that helped me, but he didn't give me campaign advice. Roger Stone helped us with none because I said while I was running, I needed to support none. He helped none, National Action Network." But hold on a second. When I asked Stone to describe that help, he wrote in an email, "I made a $50,000 loan to keep the civil rights organization afloat while Sharpton was running for president. It was later converted to a contribution. The reason for his subsequent conversion, said Stone, was that Nunn was unable to repay the loan. So we had to write it off after 5 years. But wait a minute. Quoting aides who work with Sharpton, Barrett reported in 2004, that's another writer for the Village Voice, I believe, that Stone's beneficiaries actually, beneficence actually amounted to upwards of $200,000, and that Stone knew full well that he'd never get the money back. Stone later told the Federal Election Commission, which investigated Sharpton's campaign activities in light of Barrett's reporting, that his so-called loans to Nunn, in fact, totaled $240,000. That's a lot of money. The same FEC investigation found that Nunn activities and Sharpton's campaign were intimately commingled. Listen, this is Sharpton's guy. I don't understand what we're doing. I don't understand what we're doing. Like, this man is also Sharpton's man. And I don't know how, on a national level, we allow this to happen. That we think this is okay. That you can be long Trump friend, Roger Stone's dropping money, and now you are our advocate. You were with Obama 8 years, he ain't do nothing, and now you out here marching. Sometimes you just got to realize when you bet on a loser. Like those of you who bet on Al Sharpton, you bet on a loser. He's never gonna win, because the only thing he knows how to do is bring attention to stuff and march about it. We're at a different phase where something greater is required, and he's not the person to do it. He's not the group to do it. The National Action Network can't do it. ADOS chapters, groups can do it. We have the foundation, we have the momentum. He can't do it. He's been doing this forever, since the 80s or whatever, since he's wearing tracksuits and gold necklaces. You can't do it. And you're too compromised to do it. I still don't know. You was with the feds, with the mob. It's a lot of stuff going on with you. You're not the person to do it. And I just want to put this down as a reminder that we kind of still, too many of us, not all of us, not the majority, are stuck on the wrong person. This is not the leader. He got to go. No more marches, Al. You march during a pandemic just to kind of highlight yourself and make yourself feel special. And partly I think you do it because it's all you know how to do. You don't have any political imagination. So the only thing a lot of people do is kind of mimic King. They just kind of like, I'm going to do the same thing King did. This is 21st century America. We have to think of new ways to do things. New ways, no matter how uncomfortable they are. And these people have proven themselves as incapable of doing that. And that means we have to move on and leave them behind. And that's my last word before I go to break. I'm going to get the phone set up in about 3 minutes. We'll be back and we'll have the conversation. All right, fam, we are back. We are back, and I am going to the first call. I am going to. I'm going to 760. 760, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? Oh.
Hello, Yvette. My name is Marlon. I'm calling from Oceanside.
What's going on?
Well, I like the show as usual. Everything you say is on point all the time. So, yeah, I just want to say something about Al Sharpton.
Okay, go ahead.
It's really just, he's just I guess, an example of where we're at as black people in America. Because if he has this much crowd for foolishness, it means that we have a lot of confused people or co-opted or co-signed people out there, which is not very good for him, and he should be shouted down all the time because he's a rat. Proven. FBI rat. So that's all I need to say.
Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam. Well, didn't Al Sharpton, thank you, I appreciate it, fam. Didn't Al Sharpton have a little cowboy hat on when he was testifying to the FBI? That's the only thing I remember. Was that am I dreaming it? Because I know he wore a little hat sometimes. But I want to know, did he have a little hat on and he was talking and he was testifying? And what was you doing with the mob anyway? If somebody called on me to testify against the mob, I said, what are you talking about? I don't know no mob. What was you doing with the mob anyway? It's a lot of stuff in the background that ain't even been revealed. Anyway, I'm going to the next call. I'm going to 856. 856, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 856? $856. Well, maybe 856 can call us back. We're going right now. 202. 202. What's going on?
What's up, Yvette? This is Jay from DC.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, what's up? I need therapy after watching your show for this past 4 years. It's just dawning on me that I'm kind of like the poster boy for what you've been talking about, though. Because all right. So my father. No, I'm not even gonna let you. I want you to guess. One of my parents has an aerospace engineering PhD from MIT, and the other has no retirement and lives in the other parent's home, one of the other parents' homes. Which one do you think is an immigrant?
Engineering PhD.
So my mother actually called in a few weeks ago. My mother, we just found out that my mother's family comes from a plantation in North Carolina, the DeBerry Plantation, and they still have the DeBerry name. My father his father was a chief in Ile-Ife, which is like holy ground in Yoruba. Like if you talk to anybody that's Yoruba and you tell them, like when I tell people my father's from Ile-Ife, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? They go crazy. Like a lot of people know who my dad is. So it's like when I listen to you talk, it's like, dang, like it's almost like you're like explaining my whole life because my mom has nothing. And my dad doesn't have much either. But it's like he's got these PhDs, he's got this education, he's got, somewhere to go back to, et cetera, et cetera. He gave me an international upbringing. I have family in the UK. I have a strong family in the UK. If I want to, I could move to London and be good because I have so much family over there. So it's like watching you and then watching the media. Like I really wish we could replace BLM with ADOS.
We still can. We still can. It's not too late.
Working towards that. Is that something that we like working towards?
I think we are. Let me just say this. I don't think there is any BLM. Like I think they give all black and ADOS activists on the ground and they just call them all BLM. And I don't think that really exists as a thing. I just think they call all black activists or ADOS activists or immigrant activists or whatever. Like they call everybody BLM because white media is lazy. And I don't even think that's what it is anymore. I just think there are people whether it's ADOS or other groups and communities who are doing work. And because the media doesn't know who those people are and doesn't care to really find out, they just call everybody BLM. Like Black Lives Matter is really just kind of a catch-all for a movement to make sure that Black Lives Matter, right? But for the most part, those people have a bunch of different. I saw a video of somebody saying some wild and ridiculous stuff, and the black dude said his group. He said, "I am with this group," and the media still said Black Lives Matter. He told you what the name of his group was, though. It's just a catch-all now, and I think we just have to. As long as,
do that.
Yeah, there are a lot of people on the ground doing stuff.
It's not just the media that's lazy. I agree with you. I think people, especially that's why people want Biden, so they can stop thinking about politics. People in general, they want to kind of switch their brain off when it comes to that. And it's not even to call them lazy. It's just people are caught up with their everyday lives. But now I agree with you there. Just like any white rioter, they're going to call them Antifa.
Yep. And they can say we're the leftist.
I'll go back another day.
Yeah, they can say we're the radical leftists of America, and they're gonna say Antifa was out, and they told you who they were though. They didn't say that. They told you they have a name. Yeah, so it's kind of ridiculous. Like the laziness that exists in media is ridiculous. But thank you, fam. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The media just say anything. Black Lives Matter was on the street. They told people call themselves the Justice League of Tougaloo. And you said Black Lives Matter. Just do a little research, media. A lot of these people, ADOS is here. We saw a lot of Black Lives Matter groups. No, you didn't. And even a lot of Black Lives people who still call themselves Black Lives Matter group don't associate with the people who allegedly founded, the ones who are still breathing. They don't do that. So you got to disaggregate this stuff. Anyway, I'm going to my next call. I am going to 505. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, this is Elise from Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
I didn't completely pay attention to the primaries, but I don't know how we allowed this to happen. I feel like the black vote has a lot of power in the primaries, and why were so many people supporting Biden? I know that Kamala maybe dropped out, but I just feel like we cannot let this continue to happen where these people like Hillary and like Biden are winning the nomination. And so I think that I agree with the down ballot sentiment, and that we need to make the Democrats lose, and they need to know they lost because of ADOS. If they think that they lost because of some other reason, we're still not going to get listened to. And so I don't know what you think about that.
Well, I'll tell you how it happened. It was a whole con, right? So I could win South Carolina today if everybody drop out, right? So we had all the moderates drop out of the race. Like you had when you talk about Kamala, when you talk, I think Pete Buttigieg, when you talk about, Klobuchar, all the moderates dropped out to leave a space for Biden. Well, no, that's not how it's supposed to work. We were supposed to be able in South Carolina to pick. Now you have fish fry Jim Clyburn come out and say, and rally people rally the Negroes to come out and vote for Biden. Now Biden ain't got nothing on offer that's gonna transform our lives, right? That's gonna transform the lives of ADOS in this country, or black people in general in terms of the black agenda. And even to the extent that he has it, he's not gonna do it because we know his whole life has been built on not doing it and getting and securing white votes. So it was a whole thing. They had a whole setup to make sure he wins. You can win any race if all your competitors decide they're not going to race you, or the fastest competitors, right? So if everybody else might be a little slower, they don't run like you. If the people who is closest to you, so what they made was that Biden got all the moderate votes. You're going to win. You got all the black vote. You got the moderate vote and you got the black vote, because Clyburn and you had Kamala drop out. She would have got black vote. So you made it to where he got South Carolina. And I don't know what you do with Clyburn after that, because we don't have anything on offer. Like, we can't even force him to do reparations, or nothing like that. Because you set it up and you didn't demand nothing. You just set it up and fed people fish and white bread. I don't know.
Well, I've just heard too many people who are scared of voting down ballot, and I know everyone listening to this is probably not scared, but there's plenty of other people who are just like, well, what are we going to do? And they make it seem like it's the end of the world. And I just want to say, like, for people at the very least, like, try to convince people, if they don't live in a swing state, if they know that state's going to go blue or red anyway, just go down ballot. And if they live in a swing state, fine, vote for Biden if you want to. I still think that he's going to lose. I think that the debates are going to be really hard for him because he cannot put two sentences together. But, you know, if people are scared, it's like, if you know your state, just vote down ballot, because we need to send this message. Otherwise, you know, they're not going to hear. They don't hear unless they lose. So that's pretty much all I had to say.
Thanks, fam. I appreciate it. I appreciate your call. And let me just say one other thing. It's not even just about them losing, right? So, because I'm not trying to make you lose necessarily. I'm trying to make you come to me with an agenda that I approve of. Still got time. But the thing is, you're not going to do it because too many Negroes have come and given you their blessing just because, oh, God, we got to get Trump out of there. No, what you got to get is an agenda. That's what you absolutely have to have. You have to have reparations and a transformative black agenda. Reparations has to be the heartbeat of that, and a price tag attached to it. And like I said last week, reparations is the beginning, not the end. That is a down payment on justice. You gotta have that. You give that to me. And on day one, you start doing that, and you do the apology for slavery and all that stuff. Day one for you, Biden. Because you got a lot of stuff you're going to do day one. I need my stuff in there. Okay, now we can work this thing out. Right? And if you don't do the stuff you said you're going to do, then I'm going to make sure or work my heart out to make sure you don't get reelected. Because we got to start punishing people. Because that's what politicians respond to punishment, not praise. So that's what you have to do. It's just the way life works. It's not us doing it. And really and truthfully, if they give us what we ask for, there's no need to for anything to happen. Like, he shouldn't even be, like she said, alluded to, you shouldn't even be the nominee. The Democratic Party set it up to where everybody else dropped out. You shouldn't even be the nominee. But we have a right to demand what we have a right to demand. And we're at the bottom. It's not like we're upper middle or middle. And we just don't like where we're at. Then we starving out. COVID's eating our life apart. What you expect us to do? We are in a desperate situation. There's nothing else to do. So I'm going to my next call. I am going to I got two 856s. So 8566. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, it's me, Curtis from Camden. I called you weeks ago on the fake transformation, in which I said that anyone who is not for the empowerment of our people needs to go.
Okay.
And so this is how I feel about Al Sharpton and anybody else who profits off of our plight. This is what been happening in our history for so long. People selling us out, and like this is why people can go and keep us from being what we're meant to be. Like reparations to me is the line of demarcation. Mm-hmm. If you don't support reparations, then that shows you where people are at when it comes to us being empowered.
Yep.
And that's the problem. We as you said, we're in the bottom. If you care anything about our empowerment, you want to see us get what we're owed. Mm-hmm. It's not hard. It's not that hard. And so people like Al Sharpton, he needs us to be at the bottom in order to have him at the top and profit off of it. It's what's been happening ever since we've been here. You know what I'm saying, Yvette?
Yeah, there's a whole grievance industry. I don't think people understand that if we get reparations as that down payment to justice, I don't think people understand that a lot of people get put out of business. because we move in a different direction now. So white supremacy isn't over, but that means reparations means that America has become serious about fixing it. And so we have, and that moment requires serious people. It demands serious people, and people like Sharpton aren't serious, so they would be moved out of that moment. And nobody, no hustler wants to be moved out of their hustle. Nobody, they don't want to be moved out of it.
And I want to say one other thing.
Sure.
Another problem for us is that we romanticize Africa way too much instead of focusing on us and how we have to be united. Our issues, like you said, the black agenda. We have to focus on us because nobody else is going to focus on us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The diaspora, unless you got a few people that actually care about us, they're not going to care because it doesn't affect them. This is our battle, and that's what we have to wake up to. If we don't wake up to it, we're going to continue to be under the yoke of white supremacy. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for everything that you're doing for us.
Appreciate it, fam. I thank you. Yeah, I think, I think we have to wake up to it. And the thing is, we have always, I don't think, one of the things you realize is that we have always been on the forefront of this battle. Like, we have always been on the forefront of this. That's why I said we're a beacon. We have always been on the forefront of this freedom struggle. Right? And really kind of teaching the diaspora how to fight. We taught you how to punch. We taught you how to stand. Right? Now, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that in the sense of we have always been a minority population, small minority, and a majority white country. The most efficient and mechanized white supremacist country in the world. Like, we have always been the teacher in that. And we don't have a colonizer that left. And so we're in our country and we still get treated some kind of way, but we're still here and we still fight. That's who we are. And I'm beginning to believe the ally who called in a few weeks ago who said, people are jealous of y'all. And I'm beginning to believe that now because you don't even understand that you can't demean us. We are the light. Like, we are the light in the way. That's us. It's not you. And it's not to demean you. It's just to understand that we have a very specific struggle that has been ongoing for 400 years. Most people would have quit. And it hasn't been ongoing from somewhere else where, somebody is demanding us pay a debt and we don't want to pay it, so we underfoot. No, we talking about getting killed here. You don't know what that's like to do that multi-generationally. The Klan to ride through your neighborhood. Then the next generation, mass incarceration. Well, before that, people would, before that, discrimination. Before that, the farmers and they get dead chickens. And before that, they don't get loans. And 40 acres and a mule has been reneged upon. Just say that you don't understand this struggle. Right? And you and just say how much and admit how much this struggle has influenced struggles around the world. Just say who we are and understand who we are and the specialness of that. That doesn't diminish what you've been through, but it's totally different. This is a unique and very specific struggle. And I just don't think enough people really kind of acknowledge it. They try to diminish it and say, well, you don't have culture or something. And it's just like, that's so disrespectful. Anyway, I'm going to the next call. Family. Let's see who we go to next. Let's go to, I have 3-3-2-3. So 3235. 3235. 3235. I'm coming to you. What's going on, 3235?
Hi.
Hey.
I'm calling. I've been listening to your show some years, and I wanted to call in. I'm white, but I grew up in a black family, and I've been watching, everything that black people have been going through for years, as kind of white, but within a black family, seeing the struggle, and I follow it. And I think, you really made a good point bringing up this issue of Al Sharpton and where this money is coming from to, work him up, because the black leaders are so invested in misdirection, of the black community, and you wonder why and who's invested in all this, and then you see something like the Clyburn move in South Carolina that hands over a presidential election. You go, okay, here's why they're manipulating, black politics, and there's so much money invested in it. And they cut at the political movements that black people could be making or should be making in favor of, celebrity status, like Sharpton and the same old rhetoric we've kind of seen for many years. And, they even make reparations seem like it's so difficult when it people know their lineage. People are connected to those places and can get reparations anyway. I'd love to listen to your show, and I don't know what you have to say about any of that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I have a few things to say, but I do believe that Al does get in the way of stuff, right? So because there's a lot of stuff like movement isn't efficiency. So you'll see somebody doing something and you'll believe that like we're working towards a solution. Like, oh, Al's here and he's doing X, Y, and Z. You don't realize that this is kind of like a repetitive motion to make it appear that he's doing something. But he's not achieving anything, and he knows he's not achieving anything. It's just all he really knows how to do. See, there's some people that all they really know how to do is mimic other people. So he's gonna mimic King with the march. But I don't think people realize this is a moment where you kind of have to have some kind of creativity in what you're doing, and it has to be built for the 21st century. Any kind of solution, you just can't keep mimicking King, and everybody wants to mimic somebody, and I think that's a problem. Thank you. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate it. Because I don't think people really understand that you can't do that. Every moment requires a solution for that moment. It doesn't mean there's nothing to learn from King. We'd had his book on here. There's a lot to learn, but when you learn, you build on it. You don't just learn and say, I'm going to mimic, I'm going to parrot King, I'm going to just quote King all the time. What have you figured out for yourself? How many people quote you? Don't just quote King. How much intellectual product have you put out? How many terms have you coined? How many people run around quoting Al Sharpton? Nobody. Al Sharpton don't even quote Al Sharpton. He quotes King. You haven't built anything out on your own. So I don't even understand how you expect to be considered a leader, except for the fact that we have diminished leadership so greatly that we still look to you, a person who couldn't even achieve a modicum of results for us when you had a proximity to power, when you were the pit bull for the White House for Obama. That's not good enough. And if we're going to survive, don't even think about thriving right now. If we're going to even survive, we've got to know that's not enough. So I'm going to the next call. I'm going to 856. 856, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. This is Jasmine. I'm calling from Jersey. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm glad I made it back on. I just had a few things that I wanted to say. I agree with everything that you were just talking about, specifically the imagination. You always talk about how our politicians lack political imagination, and that was something that was mentioned in the book In the Wake by Christina Sharp. I'm still working through that book, but she talks about being in the wake and how the disaster occurred to us as a people, and we're still in the wake of that disaster. We've never reached a point after that disaster, and in order to get past that, through that, we have to have an imagination and try to build a world outside of what we built in the wake of slavery, which is why reparations is definitely the starting point. I agree with that wholeheartedly, and it's not an ending point. I feel that it encompasses everything that we are asking for, because there are laws and policies on the books that affect us negatively, and those have to be addressed. Going piece by piece is not enough. I'm in a book club now where we're reading Black Against the Empire. That's on your Breaking Brown Goodreads, and I was very excited to see this book club discussing that book after we read In the Wake. Okay. They were talking about how the ask was too small, and because the ask of the civil rights movement was too small, that gave birth to the Black Panthers, because
Yeah.
Their needs weren't met in the inner city. The struggle that was a struggle up north, but the struggle was different than what they were going through down south. So where they could sit at counters in their suits down south, up north there were more insidious forms of terror being done to our people, and it didn't resonate. And the Panthers were so effective because their 10-point plan preceded them. People hadn't even heard of the Black Panthers, but their politics touched people. So by the time they managed to get out and into those towns, they had already had an establishment in their politics. And because the government was working against them so hardcore, I'm just now reading this book about the Black Panthers. I'm only in the beginning, but we discussed part 3. It was a great discussion, and I just love that they brought out that not only was our ass too small, but King was moving. We read for our book club, Where Do We Go From Here, before the conference. I was there. It was amazing. I hope we do something again. But King was moving from the respectability politics, and he's like, you know, I may have integrated my people into a burning house. And they mentioned during that discussion, when the house is burning down, you go in and rescue the people, put out the fire, tear that house down, and you build a new house. All the people around King were traitors, and they weren't moving with him. When King was assassinated, they escorted LBJ to his funeral, knowing that he didn't want him there, knowing that King was moving towards, hey, I got to get my people economically stable, because what good is sitting at the lunch counter without the money to eat?
To buy a hamburger. He said that, and King said that.
I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. I apologize. I'm learning. I'm still learning. So I'm attributing quotes to the wrong people. My apologies.
No, you're fine.
It's just, you know, to see that King was moving and reparation. Another thing they said is the folks got themselves a slice of the pie during the civil rights movement, and they stopped fighting. They didn't continue to fight. There was still a fight to be had. And
you know what? You know what?
Didn't continue that fight.
You know what, Carla? I can't remember the article. It was an article, but the article really talked about a lot of what happened after King was assassinated. And we don't really talk enough about, I don't even know if that was a book, I read an article, but we don't talk enough, and I've mentioned it here a lot, we don't talk enough about the violence after King was assassinated. Because King was the one who was assassinated, our main leader. But there were all kinds of little assassinations around the country that took place that people don't really talk about. Some cars exploded, some other stuff happened. And I think part of what... Go ahead, Carl, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's something that we just mentioned in this Black Against the Empire. The Black Panthers were only active for a very short amount of time. Like, they had a very high period. They were very visible for a moment, and they lost so many leaders within a very short amount of time. So it was pointed out that they were used to losing people, but their agenda stood. And that's why I like AVOS101.com. I post it everywhere. I share it. My family doesn't really enjoy me sharing, but I share it everywhere because the words speak for themselves. You know, the policies are there. Everything, it speaks for themselves. And someone on Thursday posted the article about the Italian billionaire who was descended from a prisoner of war. I was like, not Trayvon, Emmett Till was murdered either the year before or the year after that prisoner of war was brought here and treated well. It was mentioned in the article that Italian prisoners of war were treated especially well. And there was another article that you mentioned where German prisoners of war were like, why are they treating those American soldiers like that, the Black American soldiers like that? And it's just amazing that he was able to become a billionaire out of his father being a prisoner of war. And that just further cements the need for reparations. How do you, as an American soldier, not get the benefits of being a citizen and fighting for your country? But this prisoner of war, they didn't even start treating the German soldiers terribly until they discovered what they were doing in those camps, and that wasn't even, they didn't even treat them worse than the Black American soldiers. But it's just amazing when you talk about stolen legacies, when you talk about and that's just what frustrates me and gets me passionate when I start talking to people. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at what was, I used to not be pro reparations. I felt that we had to fix class before race because I did not understand the implications. I did not understand what was stolen. But as I see what was stolen, we need to call it. I want the whole kit and caboodle. I want it all right now. No, and I could. Al Sharpton. Oh, I'm glad I came back to that. Al Sharpton, family. I believe it was. I don't know who recommended this on Twitter, but please, if you have Netflix or a free movie app, watch Get Me Roger Stone, because he starts that documentary off saying, I am an agent provocateur, and they trace him through a whole hour and 15 minutes of everything he did from Nixon all the way up until they show Al Sharpton. That's the only reason why I watched it. ADOS was talking about Al Sharpton, and I watched the whole, I went through all it.
Y'all watched it?
Watch it.
How many people seen that in the chat? Roger Stone's doc. It's on Netflix.
No, that's all I have to say. That I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm just polling the chat. I appreciate you calling in. That was a great call. How many of y'all saw that? Ooh, I'm gonna have to watch it. I heard there was a Roger Stone doc on there, but I'm gonna have to check it out. Blessed Be the Fight saw it. Elbow saw it. Y'all see, I gotta check it out. I'm late. B Blade saw it. I'm late to the party. Anyway, let me go to my next call. Great call. I appreciate it. 318, I'm coming to you. 318, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Hey, this is Kendrick calling from Louisiana, ADOS, Louisiana. First time call, long time listener.
Appreciate it. How y'all doing down there? Did you get in that hurricane?
It's all over the place. I had family members get it. I didn't get it as bad. Okay. But for all the callers out there who want to know what reparations look like, this is what reparations does not look like for us. When you go to the gas station in this particular event, you see a whole bunch of people out there getting a bunch of gas to take home to their generators to keep their houses going. Those people that are doing that are not ADOS people. So those we have to do without, right, until we get service. So this is a part of what reparations gives us that no one, takes account of. It's these little small things, right, that accumulate into larger things, as you see. And I've also seen reparations. I live down here in Central Louisiana, and there's an Indian reservation here, and they get their reparations. And the difference between their getting reparations and black folks not getting theirs is tremendous. Those kids graduate from high school. They are fully funded for college. They are fully funded with transportation to get to college. And those of us who are ADOS are struggling to even get our kids to college. That's another form of what reparations does not look like for us here in Louisiana. And also, everybody keeps talking about Kamala Harris. We've had a Kamala Harris down here. His name was Bobby Jindal. Okay? And people keep talking about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, in my mind, is Bobby Jindal 2.0, who did not recognize that he was black. Matter of fact, we struggled with this guy for 2 terms down here until we finally got him out. He did nothing for the education system down here. He did absolutely nothing for black folks down here. So people need to stop with this policy of Kamala Harris going to do anything for us, because we've seen it. And it does not work at all. So I don't want to take much of your time. I just wanted to let you know that we're doing fine. I'm doing fine down here in Louisiana, but I've seen so many black folks that this storm has taken a lot away.
Well, you know what, fam? I remember there was a previous hurricane, and I remember like the people who came outside, and I talked about it. People who came outside with boats and all kind of canoes and all kind of stuff. Those were not us, and I don't think people understand that, like, having inheritance or a career to build off of that you've inherited, all of that stuff goes together. Social capital, all goes together, and so they're able to do stuff to weather all kinds of storms. We talk about weathering the storm of COVID, but we talk about real storms too.
Exactly. You see that's you hit the nail on the head right there. This is what reparations will do for us, such that we can weather through all of this stuff. Because when you go to these gas stations, you see people getting, 20 gallons of gas, and they got these big generators. They're going at home bring generators. Hell, 88 OLX people don't even have generators, right? Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, homes, right? There are very few of us that do have homes. So when people keep talking about what reparations does, this is a small facet of what reparations will do for us. Yep. That accumulates into something much larger that will transform us into something of equality, if you will. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We just don't see that. And for many people who think that this is powerful, we need this. And I say this time and time again, we are running out of time. We need to get this ASAP. It's not we can wait 5 years, we can wait 10 years. We need to get it now. Because 10 years from now, if we don't get something transformationally done within the next 10 years, we will be done as a people. But hey, look,
fam, I'll tell you this right before I go. I said a long time ago that, as ADOS, what we're doing here is we're either writing, as in terms of what I'm doing, that I'm, Antonio and I, we're either writing the resurrection story of ADOS or the eulogy, right? And exactly. It's up to us which one it is. It's totally up to us. Ain't nothing written in stone. It is up to us what we do and how we move, and we can't be scared.
That's right. You are exactly right. And also, I want to give out a shout out to Tone as well. I listen to his show as well. Mm-hmm. So you guys have done a tremendous job. I am listening. I do share all your content with people that I know whether they want to get it or not. We're kind of on the ground here, and I try to open the person's mind whenever I get the chance to. But you are being heard. Trust me.
Thank you, fam.
You guys are being heard. We appreciate the work. And one other thing. The first time I saw you, you said something that a lot of people didn't really understand about the governor here in Louisiana. Louisiana did have one black lieutenant governor for about 2 or 3 months, and you were the first person to say it. You might have said it like 2 or 3 years ago. And his name was PBA Pinchback, and he was part ADOS and part white. This is right after Reconstruction. It was a very, very short time.
I remember that. Yeah.
But the first time I heard your show, I don't know if you remember saying it, but you mentioned it. Maybe 2 years ago. And,
I remember. I remember. I only remember because I remember the name.
About what you do.
I remember the name. I remember the name. I remember it because I remember the name. Yep.
Right. Yep. PBS Pinchback. Yep. That's what he was. Yep.
Thank you, fam.
Look, I appreciate you and keep doing good work. Thanks again.
Appreciate it, fam. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a good. Yeah, that's what I don't think people understand. Like, to have a boat, to have I don't even think we understand the impact on health. And I'm just not talking about health outcomes. I think it's going to be the last call, fam, because I said I was going to get in and get out, and we're at midnight because I had to do the other thing, and we started really late, not just regular late, really late. I just don't think people understand the impact health-wise too on just never not having enough money or having enough wealth or having enough inheritance. You're always in a state of anxiety. And that's not, as the people who built this wealthy country, that's not where we should be. And it's not just about being able to afford a doctor. Yes, it's about that. It's about being able to afford a specialist too. You know how much a specialist costs to be brought in? But it's also about not having the anxiety of always not knowing what tomorrow brings. We all don't know, and you don't know what tomorrow brings, but you know that, like, I may not have enough money for X, Y, and Z. I don't have it for what I need. That's a constant state of just like not enoughness, right? And that weighs on the body. The body ain't supposed to be in that state all the time. It's just not supposed to. So I want to thank everybody who called in, fam. I want to thank everybody who called in. I think we're going to have some interesting times. For those of you who came in late, we'll probably have a very different assessment than Oprah, but we're going to read the book Cast because we already talked about it. So I'm just going to commit to it. We're going to read it on I think they said it was the 24th. That's the last Thursday in September. So we will read it next month as opposed to skipping a month. We'll read it and we'll have a conversation. I know a lot of us will probably, judging by the fact that Oprah liked it, I'm not trying to cast judgment, but I'm suspicious because I announced it first here, then Oprah came out like a week later and said, we're going to recast. So I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to change my gate because she did that. And if we like it, we like it. If we don't like it, then we don't like it. And we're going to peel it apart meticulously. So, fam, also, please hit the like button. Please share. If you want to donate, as always, go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/Wacarnell. You can do all of that good stuff. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and do all of that good stuff. If you have not done it, I would appreciate it. We're gonna get out of here now. We're gonna get out of here and y'all be easy breezy and get to bed. Finish your libation. We didn't have no libation calls tonight. That was wonderful. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in, even though it was late, because I was. If you want to see the discussion Antonio and I had with some good folks at Simmons College about basically kind of about the black. Not just the black radical tradition, but the prophetic tradition in terms of the relationship, in terms of Christianity and all that kind of stuff. If you all want to see that, I reposted it on my personal Facebook page, so go check that out. That's where I was right before I got here. So, anyway, fam, be easy breezy, take care of yourself, and still wear your mask. All right, fam?